Komið sæl og blessuð, velkomin í þáttin, þetta styrktarþjálfarinn. Ég búin að taka smá pásu, búið að vera bilað að gera hjá manni í pre-season sem og hjá öðrum styrktarþjálfarum og kannski erfitt að ná að láta dagskráin okkar passa saman, þannig að það kom smá pása, nú kom páskafrí og ég náði loksins inn einum og ég fékk hann Ben MacKenzie, styrktarþjálfara FH til minn í þáttinn og við áttum frábært spjall. Við hittumst hérna 10 morgunin, heldur við ekki byrjað að taka upp fyrir kl. 11 og þetta var alveg góður klukkutími í spjall og hann kom með frábæra skemmtilega punkt og nýja sýnin í þáttinn og fullt af skemmtilegum pælingu sem í gangi á honum hjá FH þessa dagana. En við höldum áfram með sömu sponsora, fitnesssport eru með okkur í liði og þeir bjóða upp á Hydrate sem fullkomin drykkur fyrir öll tilefni og til að nefna hef ég verið aðeins að horfa á gamla All or Nothing þætti og hef verið að horfa á Arsenal þáttinn og það sá einmitt glitta í Hydrate á borðinu hjá þeim í hálfleik í einhverju leiknum. Þannig að, og svo veit ég að Manchester United hafa líka verið með þetta upp á síðkastið sem sagt sem nýjan sponsor sem kemur að svona electrolyte strikkjum. Einnig þessi drykkur, hann stútfullur af alls konar söltum og steinefnum og ásamt vítamínum með fullt af D-vítamínum sem mikilvægt fyrir okkur Íslendinga og kannski núna koma sumar, þannig við þurfum ekki að hafa jafn miklar áhyggjur þótt við þurfum alltaf að hafa einhverjar áhyggjur af því og mjög mikilvægt að taka aukalegt D-vítamín, sérstaklega miðað við kannski á vetna þar sem við þurfum bara 100% að bæta í D-vítamínið. Einnig eru fitnesssport með High Five sem hágæða vara sem henta vel fyrir íþróttafólk og við hjá KR vorum að taka þessa vörur inn og munum hafa þær með okkur við höndina í gegnum keppnistímabilið í ár, bæði hvað sem það High Five eða Hydrate vörurnar á fitnessport, þá frábært að geta leita þessar vörur til að leikmenn sé að fá hágæða vörur sem hjálpa þeim að auka orkustigið með þá kolvetnablöndum eða orkugil í leikjum ásamt því að halda í vökvann með að drekka sölt sem eru electrolytes og þetta þetta eldsneyti sem við þurfum að fá svo við getum performað þegar á reynir í leikjum og til dæmis getur orkugilu verið mjög mikið orka þegar kemur inn í hálfleikinn þar sem við þurfum að hlaða batterínu nýju og þurfum að fá orku til að geta keyrt allt í botn aftur í seinni 45 mínúturnar. Fyrir okkur til dæmis í K sem spilum mjög svona high intense fótbolta, mikil læti, mikil orka, þá mjög mikið að við nýtum þennan 15 mínútna ramma sem hálfleikurinn í að hlaða batterínu á nýja leik svo getur bara farið all in aftur inn í seinni hálfleikinn. Einn með okkur Unbroken og það líka gaman að segja frá því að hann talar aðeins það hérna í þættum hann Ben MacKenzie hvernig þeir notast við Unbroken hjá FH og þetta sé hluti af ákveðnu rútínu hjá þeim en það má ekki gleyma því að Unbroken einn af 4 stærstu styrktaraðilum bestu deildarinnar og by the way, besta deildin byrjar akkurat á laugardaginn næstkomandi í dag mánudagurinn, annar í páskum þannig að það styttist í að fyrsti leikur fari fram og virkni Unbroken margþætt og getur notað það til að jafna orku við daginn sem og orku fyrir æfingar eða aðrar athafnir og svo hjálpa líka Unbroken og líklega þekktast fyrir það að taka þátt fyrir hraðari endurheimt. Unbroken sem sagt bara unnið úr laxapróteinum og það sem gerir Unbroken einstaklega náttúrulegt ensín laxins til að brjóta niður próteinsameindir og líkið því eðlilegri meltingu mannsins og svo eru steinefni og vítamín í Unbroken sem styrkja ónæmiskerfið og veita orku og efla heilastarfsemina borð við B12, zink, selen og prólín og svo eru engin gervisykur og ekkert koffín sem gefur ykkur svona auka gervi orku. Og þriðji sponsin okkar Biobú sem matvöruframleiðandi sem sérhæfir sig í lífrænt unninni vöru. Gríska jógúrtið þeirra alveg geggjað ásamt öllu nautakjötinu hvort sem það bara steikin sjálf eða kjötbollurnar eða hamborgarinn þá þetta algjörlega hágæða vara og þeir sem sagt vinna allt úr lífrænt unnin vara hjá þeim og það sem gerist með því að varan sé lífrænt unnin þá innihalda meira lífsnauðsluðum fitusýrum eins og omega-3 og CLA til dæmis og nokkra erlendar rannsóknir hafa sýnt að mjólk sem framleidd með lífrænum aðferðum hefur meira af lífsnauðsluðum fitusýrum eins og omega-3 og svo líka fitusýrum eins og CLA og ég bara mæli hiklaust með því að þið kíkið út í verslun og smakkið mjólkuvörurnar frá þeim hvort sem bara hinn venjulega mjólk eða bara gríska jógúrtið og ásamt því þeir líka bara með frábært venjulegt jógúrt og ég bendi enn og aftur tjekkið á kjötinu þeirra. Allir 3 sem sponsorar eiga það sameiginlegt að þeir bjóða upp á vörur sem getur hjálpað íþróttafólki að bæta sína afkastagetu með hágæða vörum. En nóg að því, nú komið nóg að mínu blaðir og mínu spjalli og við ætlum að fara að ræða við hann Ben og heyra hvernig hlutin eru gerðir í Hafnarfjörði þessa dagana. Takk fyrir. Hi Ben.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. Do you want to do it in Icelandic or English today?
Já, íslenskur.
Íslenskur?
Já.
Ánægður með þig. Hvað segirðu gott?
Gott en þú?
Ég er góður. That's impressive. 1.5 years and you got more words than 90% of the English coaches in Iceland.
No, I mean the benefit that I've got is, the players will speak to me in English, but everyone around me is Icelandic. Even our Spanish physio speaks Icelandic, so
that's good.
Sink or swim. So I can understand a lot better than I can speak, but we'll get there.
Yeah, that's good. So you're the fitness coach of FH. My old club, I was there like 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
Good times there.
Yeah, good times.
So who is Ben MacKenzie and how did you end up in Iceland?
That's a very good question. I can probably answer the second part of that question a lot easier. It's, I think, just the classic Iceland network thing. I still don't think FH's seen my CV, but it all just comes off, network and people knowing people. So, when David Virason was hiring, we spoke to his brother. We spoke to a guy named Tom Joel, who was the sports scientist with Kawasi for 4 or 5 years or so. And, he said, do you know anyone? And, Tom knew about me. I was working with the under-21s in Leicester at the time. And then one day he just kind of, we're the under-21s pitch and the first team pitch were just next to each other, so we're both training at the same time, and he just kind of called me over and said, how would you be interested in working in Iceland? And I was like, well, never really thought about it, to be perfectly honest, but that sounds interesting. Then just, had a couple of phone calls with David, and by I think the second call he was like, all right, we'll send you through a contract. And I was, okay, this is all moving quite quickly. And I spoke to my my fiance, and I was kind of 50-50, just things are going quite well out here, and then she's like, no, let's go. So then we came over, watched FR Vikingur in the cup in the final.
Oh yeah, good game.
So yeah, good game. And then for you more so than us. But no, we came, watched that, spent a weekend in Iceland, and then went, let's do it. So I think a month later I flew over first, spent a month, and then she came over as well, and and that's the start of the journey anyway. So all that's kind of through the network.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I got here. And
yeah, good story. Like with FH, you come into probably the club with the greatest facilities in the country. You have everything there.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things. When I was speaking to David, he was just saying, obviously, you yourself are a part of FH's successful past, and he just said to me, what we want is to kind of obviously bring that back. Every team wants to do well all of the time, but we also want to kind of do it in a way that we have these incredible facilities. We have 1,000 kids playing football there, on both the boys and the girls sides. We've got all the kind of the ingredients there, but we want to try and move things towards being a bit more professional, kind of modernize the club a little bit. And he's been really good about supporting and investing into doing that. So finding different technologies, just investing in people. So we've now gone from kind of one fitness coach and one part-time fitness coach to essentially basically 2 full-time fitness coaches, and we've just recently hired another guy to work in the youth teams. So we've now got 3 of us working there, which is great for the players, great for us as well. We've hired the physiotherapist, so we're the steps that we're taking is definitely kind of aligned with that vision, and then also the continued investment in the facilities. It's not just going, okay, well, here's this nice shiny thing. It's like, well, let's keep. So we've got these these new hybrid pitches, which hopefully we'll be able to get on soon if the weather allows us to. You know, we've built a second small gym that the youth players are going to be using.
Okay.
Just inside Skesson. I mean, it's real basic stuff. I mean, I think you've probably got more in this garage than they've got in there. But
is it as cold as Skesson itself?
No, it's heated, so it's just a huge game changer. So I mean, the players are always super excited to go in the gym, which is, you know, it's a nice thing there.
That's good.
And yeah, like, and we've got big plans for the future as well. So we're kind of continuing to move forwards, which is, you know, it's all you can really ask, is to be given the chance to do things and make progress, which is what we're doing. So
yeah, this is one of the things what I love about FO is like this big club mentality. They're always thinking ahead in everything around, and it's always been like that, because I've been working with clubs who do that, and I've also been working with club with a lot smaller mentality. And I think like with FO, they always think we are one of the biggest club in Iceland.
Yeah,
it's similar as I think now with KR has this mentality, because those two clubs, they have huge history in Icelandic football history.
Yeah.
So they always stay on top of the game.
Yeah, and it's something that, I mean, we, like I said before, like everyone wants to be doing well all of the time, but like, you know, I think the good thing is with the people that we've got at FO is, you know, you've got the people there who are actually going to make that happen. It's not just, you know, a board saying we want to win the league and we want to be in Europe. It's okay, well, you know, let's what do we need to do to do that? And it's not just, you know, everyone's always trying to do that, but it's now get the right people and get it done.
Yeah. That's true. So how has your CNS or strength and conditioning career evolved through the years?
A lot. I mean, I think I've been very lucky in a lot of sense in terms of how diverse the different jobs I've had in the last 10 years have been. I mean, it kind of started when I was still at university in South Africa. There was a kind of youth academy sort of setup, which is strange for a university because it's generally for adults, but it was kind of just associated off the name of the university there, because it was still in a town which, you know, probably had more people in it than the whole of Iceland. So it's still it's a big town, and there was a lot of football going on around it. So they were kind of with different financial backings and things, taking kind of kids from I think 12 years old up to kind of under 18's age as an academy, and the kind of the head of sports science there was looking to make use of the students, including myself, to come work with these guys. So, you know, straight away from I think the start of my second year, I was getting to work. I think I spent 6 months working with the youth kids, and there's not this huge structure there. So you're an intern, but here's a team to do, you know, with a bit of guidance from the head of sports science, like do with them what you think, you know, is good, and try some stuff out and do all these things. So it was great to then kind of experiment a bit and just get used to kind of working with football players. And then after about 6 months, the guy who was working with the university men's first team, he left or graduated or something, and then I stepped in there. So I spent the rest of my time, so another year and a half working with kind of a men's team. But then it was also, you know, I think that job actually prepared me quite well for Iceland, because it was almost this like semi-professional thing where, you know, we'd get guys in the gym, we'd give them food, we'd train, you know, we didn't have a physio, but we had a physio clinic that they could go to pretty much any time. So we had a fairly good setup, but they also were students. They also had part-time jobs and things like that. So it was quite interesting then balancing all of those things. So yeah, that was also a great experience, and, you know, traveling different places in the country to go and play games and play tournaments and things like that was great. And also, I think the biggest benefit of South Africa is, again, that there's not huge budgets. So we didn't have GPS, we didn't have any of these things. It was kind of, you know, whatever your creativity could do. I mean, so I was, you know, Bluetooth speakers have come a long way since then. There wasn't really that much of a thing, so I was parking my car on the pitch for the yo-yo test and things like that to use the speakers, which I know the ground staff weren't happy about. But we don't have force plates, we don't have GPS, we don't have any of these things, so okay, we're just doing, chalking up lines on a wall for jump tests, we're using the yo-yo test, just we had some support for things like speed testing and that from like the kind of Institute of Sports Science from the university, but it's very much like, get some Excel things, try and do some wellness collection, all these kind of things.
Just thinking outside the box.
There is no box, they can't afford it, so we need to just figure out something else out.
Create that box.
Yeah. So then graduated there after 4 years at the university there, and then kind of debated doing a master's degree and just like I need to kind of go and work now. I wanted to do something. Just kind of applied for loads of jobs and then ended up getting a job in America. It was supposed to be with this kind of soccer schools type thing associated with Bayern Munich, and it was super exciting. They recruited most of their staff from the UK as well, so they had like a new coaches training weekend in St George's Park where England train. So went over to London, went to St George's for that. Super excited, had a great time, and then didn't get a visa to go to America.
No.
So kind of just got trapped in. Trapped is maybe an exaggeration, but stuck in England for a while and spent about 4 months just living off people's sofas and working kind of any random jobs that I could find, working in a pub, working painting houses and just whatever. And then was working as like a tour guide at some point, and then while we're just kind of in hotels and things, had nothing to do, just applying for anything that came up, and eventually then Leicester came up. There was like internships going there, and I'd actually met the head of sports science for the academy a couple of weeks before I saw that, because they had a kind of sports science students weekend where you went to the club, they had a bunch of little workshops and showed you things, and did Q&A afterwards, and I asked some stupid questions, and clearly that was enough for them to remember me. So when it came to like the interviews then for this internship, it just went well enough. Because I'd only moved over with a duffel bag full of clothes, I didn't have a suit or anything, which everyone else did, so luckily I made the decision just to go to H&M and get like a shirt or something, because I nearly just showed up in a tracksuit, which would have looked absolutely ridiculous when everyone else is in a full suit and tie. So I'm glad I didn't do that. And then got the internship and spent a year there, which also involved doing like a master's degree with the University of Derby, which it was nice to, even though I didn't plan to do a master's, to get an internship and also just get a master's out of it was
good.
Like
one.
Yeah, exactly. And the club, like they didn't pay for the internship, but they paid for the course. So to get a free master's is really good as well. And then luckily enough for me, again, the stars kind of aligned, and it ended up being a full-time job after that. Which was awesome. And then my role over the next 5 years changed quite a lot based on COVID and other things, and to start off with, speaking about before we started recording this Thai International Academy, so they were there for, I was with them for my internship, just kind of assisting the guy who's their sports scientist. Then when I got the full-time job, he kind of moved into the academy with the under-16s. I moved into the Thai team as their strength, their sports scientist, and they also made a new role for another strength and conditioning coach, which one of the other interns then got. A guy, Charlie, who's now working at Arsenal with their under-18s. Great strength coach and great guy. And then COVID happened, and obviously you can imagine with a group of 20 kids from Thailand, they kind of got flown back quickly, stayed there, and me and my fiance nearly ended up going and living in Thailand and working there for a year, but then again that didn't happen because of COVID, and then eventually the team kind of just got absolved because of COVID and finances and things like that. So at which point I was kind of lucky enough not to just lose my job like a lot of people in England did in different clubs during COVID. Leicester were great with keeping everyone on, and they kind of just repurposed us into the academy. So spent about 6 months just working with them, the young kids, so like 12s to 14s, which again was nice. It's something a little bit different. It was a little bit less time in the gym, and a little bit more time just kind of having fun and moving around and teaching guys to train rather than just training to train. And then again benefited from COVID and got very jealous of everyone else who was always getting to take 2 weeks off when they got sick. I think I only got sick after about 2 years of the pandemic. So, but I was always the one who was called in to cover people. And then the under-21s guy got sick. So then I went in there, spent some time with them, and the coaches liked me. So then they just said, okay, even though this guy's back, like both of you are just going to work with us now.
Okay, cool.
But obviously, two people, it's a bit awkward doing the same job. So then I was like, okay, well, I'll assist you, and I'll try and just kind of plug any holes that I can kind of see. And then, again, got a little bit lucky. Our head of sports science moved over to the first team, and that position was essentially vacant for 6 to 8 months. So in terms of kind of like management and these decision-making things, there was not much going on. So it was kind of an opportunity to basically just make up a job, which is what I did. I looked at it and said, okay, well, he's doing all the fitness training stuff. He's doing all the warm-ups. He's doing all the, conditioning and speed development and things like that. They have a strength and conditioning coach who's taking care of everything in the gym, rarely. And then, at the end of that season, we did this kind of like within department analysis and looked at where we were good and we were bad and all these things. And the two things that kind of stuck out were kind of data. Like, if you were the under-18s guy and I was the under-21s guy, and I said, hey, we're taking this player from your team for the next 3 weeks, can you send me his kind of GPS data or anything? And they're like, yeah, I'll get back to you in 2 weeks. Like, it kind of, there was no real like alignment with reports and processes and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna revamp the whole data thing of the academy. And the goalkeepers were always the kind of the forgotten ones, and the guys left out, just always coming and saying, why am I doing the same program as the 60 kilo midfielder? I'm a 90 kilo goalkeeper that runs maybe 3 or 4K in a game and just dives around. So I was like, right, I'm gonna be the goalkeeper S&C. And then I basically got to do that job for 18 months, which was awesome. Like, the goalkeepers are a super fun group of guys to work with. We had a lot of them for just two age, like the under-18s and the under-21s. We had like 6 or 7 guys. We just made it like super competitive in the gym, which again, like these guys in elite football are. So you just give them any sort of stupid task that's mildly competitive, and they're all over it. So and also just some of the most athletic guys at the club, like even though they're not maybe running around as much, like they're sprinting, they're jumping, they're lifting, everything was just crazy good. And then the data side as well, like just, I know you've been dipping into Power BI a little bit, and basically that's just what I did there, was take things where it was kind of everyone just had their own Excel sheet and said, right, we're not doing this anymore, this is where you put your data, these are the reports we're using. And it's like it worked quite well. Like again, then people were able to look at stuff on their phone, look at an iPad, like the ability to share data and compare people and see all the same things, whether you're an under 15 or under 21 or a first team player, was great. And then Tom spoke to me and said, do you want to go to Iceland? And I said, yeah, okay. And then that's kind of where we are now. And now it's almost combining a bit of everything, where I'm the fitness coach, I'm the strength coach, I'm the nutritionist.
It's basically the Icelandic version of like the physical performance coach. You have everything on your plate. Yeah. And but the luxury is I've just got the one team that, I need to, part of my job is looking after the whole club and improving the processes and getting the right people in the right places. But coaching, I'm first team. So it's a even with the youth stuff at Leicester, like it was always 2 or 3 teams you're looking over, whereas now it's kind of one more focus, which is just get our guys fit and strong and healthy so that we can challenge you guys for a good place in Bestadilden. Yeah, exactly. So I was basically going to ask you now about your role at FH, and you have answered that already. But are there like any main responsibilities that you have as a fitness coach there? I know that of course you do the strength and conditioning stuff, you do the fitness stuff on the pitch, then you have to do the GPS stuff, you do the nutritional. So do you also like take responsibility about the energy gels, the electrolytes?
Yeah.
Doing the test, what kind of tests are you doing with the club? That's on your responsibility as well, of course.
Yeah.
So what kind of tests are you doing with the club?
Yeah, I mean, okay, let me try and... So yeah, in terms of like I'll start with just the meistaraflokki guys. So, you know, one of the biggest things that we tried to change straight away when I started was just that this kind of like a toothbrush approach is like little and often. So rather than going, okay, we're going to go in the gym twice a week and just batter the guys and like do 2 really tough sessions, we're going, you know, whether it's a game, day before the game, our hardest training session, we're going in the gym every single day that we come in, like just an hour before. Again, like talking about wanting to start training in the mornings and things like that, where we have the kind of the luxury of more time in the gym, but again, by the time we finish training, it's like 100 people in the gym, so we try and get the most of our work done kind of before the sessions. You know, just making sure that the guys are not only... Just bring it a bit closer, or?
Oh, it's okay. Just you're kicking a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
At the bottom of it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you just want to, you know, I never want it to be that the first thing someone does when they arrive is step on the football pitch and then kind of, I mean, yes, we do warm-ups and plenty of on-pitch S&C, but, you know, especially people who've been working in jobs, sitting at a desk or driving in a car or whatever, like, we want to, if they can have 45 minutes of getting loose, you know, working on any kind of injury prevention stuff they need to, doing a bit of lifting, a bit of jumping, throwing some heavy stuff around, like, you know, they'll be in a much better place. And I think they've, again, over the last 18 months or the last 2 seasons, we've kind of slowly just been working on kind of lifting this level up a bit. So, you know, especially for some of the young guys who, you know, beforehand, I mean, we're seeing it now that we've hired someone for the youth, like, suddenly the unflocked guys have gone from 2 gym sessions to 4. And
Perfect.
For the first, you know, couple of weeks, they're like, you know, saying, well, the coach is coming to me, oh, the guys are looking a bit heavy, or some of the players are saying, yeah, it's good, we're just a little bit sore. But I'm like, just bear with it, like, you know, keep just showing up and doing these things. And then, you know, and now they're kind of starting to thrive off it. So yeah, just being as consistent as possible, getting in every day and doing a bit, I think is just kind of having good returns long term. Yeah, in terms of the nutrition stuff, like, again, a lot of it's just trying to make sure that there's enough of everything in the fridge. There's, you know, just some fruit and basic things, just to, again, I think in general most footballers don't eat enough. So just trying to have something that, you know, if they arrive and they are a bit hungry, if there's a banana, or there's a, you know, after training you can have a protein shake or a slesla or something like that, just orange juice in the fridge and these kind of things. Again, like, I'd love to do even more in the future. It would be great to then have someone also to help out with that, and, you know, so that there's not 100 things I have to do.
No, exactly.
But yeah, and it's also just kind of then talking with sponsors and, you know, going to Fitness Sport and picking things up, going to Unbroken, picking things up there, and
Our main sponsors,
exactly. Just perfect transition. It's not my first rodeo, but no, yeah. So, like, that's, yeah, it's just basically trying to put the right things in front of the guys, and I mean literally in front of them. We try and have it. There's a little counter in the locker room as you walk in, so we put everything that they should be having when they walk in right in their face. So it's kind of,
okay.
you know, and fill the cups up with water, put the Unbroken in there, so it's like immediately drinkable the second that they walk in. It's just this kind of, you know, if they have to make 1 or 2 little decisions before they have the things, then a few of them, it might get lost there. So just put it right in their face, and or I can literally go in and hand it to them and say, drink this.
Yeah, sounds good.
And then and the other thing just with the nutrition is just a bit of kind of education and things like that. Is just, you know, whether it's just us most of the time it's just chatting. We've also kind of tried to put together this little FL app, which is just basically an educational thing, and just has, okay, what should your just regular training day when you arrive, like in the 3 hours that you're here, what should it look like? And okay, when I arrive, I'll have an orange juice, have Unbroken, maybe have a banana, just kind of fueling up for training. Okay, during training, just, you know, sipping up water, or if we have particularly tough day, we might take some Gatorade or something outside. And then after, okay, then Lesla, Unbroken, electrolyte, whatever we think is important, just again put that in front of them.
Yeah.
And same on game days, you know, got things before, high sugar, like high carbohydrate before, got a nice food for them afterwards now. And yeah, just trying to, and then in terms of things like supplements, just telling people why creatine's a good thing, dispelling some myths around like, oh, I'm just gonna get super heavy and slow and what, all these kind of things, and just saying like, okay, well, you might feel that way, just try it out. Like, you don't need to do this loading phase, you just have one scoop a day and just see how it goes.
Exactly, and that's the thing as well, you don't need to load it.
Yeah.
And most people don't even realize the importance of creatine for football players.
Yeah.
Like the ATP kind of approach that it gives you.
Yeah.
Like, you refuel the ATP quicker. So most of the things are just bulky and heavy and won't get like watered, a lot of water in the body. But no, this will definitely help you out.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most, like, there's a lot of, it's strange because there's a lot of things that guys would happily take, you know, some ashwagandha root or these kind of things where there's like maybe 2 research papers that actually say anything about it. But creatine, it's like people have tried to knock it hundreds of times in research, and every time it's like it improves speed, improves power, like all these things. And just, you know, again, for us, the main thing is just it keeps you feeling better in training. Yeah. Like, you know, okay, if you're 35 years old, it might not suddenly make you an Olympic sprinter, but it'll just, like, it is a long season, it's a long pre-season, so it's just keeping you going for longer. But yeah, so just, again, things like that, just subtly, and I mean, you know, the rate that we get through a little tub tells me how much people are buying into it. So, you know, like, especially in the pre-season, we're going through tubs like really quickly, which is a good sign for me. In terms of testing, again, it's something where the club's been great with supporting us in terms of a few things. So we've got force platforms in now, so it's not only okay, let's test twice a year or 3 times a year. Like, you know, the guys see that thing probably more than they'd even like sometimes. But
where do you keep the force plates? Do you have like a special room for it? You can't leave
no,
it in the gym?
Unfortunately not. Like, because the gym's just multi-use and used by so many people, I've kind of just got the big box sitting in my office, and then I'll just, but again, like, the great thing about it is it's Bluetooth, you just wheel it out.
Yeah, so is it ForceDex or?
Yeah, so it's the ForceDex Lite, so it's not the huge one, not the small one.
No, I have them. I have them myself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so yeah, we just, like, you know, again, the guys are in for an hour before practice every day, so okay, they can spend 15 minutes doing whatever, but especially, for example, like, day before a game, at the moment, we're kind of, you know, if we have 2 games in a week, we'll alternate, or if we just once a week, we'll also alternate, but between counter movement jump and drop jump. So it's mainly, well, it gives you a lot of information, because the one is, if people are, you know, especially 2 games in a week like we just had before Easter, you know, by the second game, it's like, okay, is there any kind of fatigue dragging on? But also, just, you know, we put the scores up on the TV, so when they walk in, they say, okay, well, like, you know, especially, it's usually the guys at the bottom who are complaining about it the most, and they see, like, okay, I really need to get off the bottom of this table, like, so then they go, okay, I got 35 or 40 centimeters last week. Okay, that's currently the bottom. I want to at least not be in the bottom 3 now. So then they'll go in terms of just kind of driving the intensity rather than just putting out a box jump and just saying, just jump on the box. Like, obviously we use box jumps. We use lots of different kind of power amplifiers and things like that. But, you know, when you get, you know, because then inevitably people start to take interest in it, and you get a little bit of a crowd going, and, you know, someone's doing a counter movement jump, especially if you're the one at the bottom and you've got 3 guys just kind of giving you shit for it if you're just you only get 30 centimeters, and then you're like, are you even jumping? Like, and then, so it kind of just drives that intensity. So they want to beat their teammates. They want to beat themselves as well. So yeah, like it's a good, and depending on where we're doing this in the week, we might have more or less sets. If it's the day before the game, we might do 1 or 2 sets of 3 jumps, and if it's our kind of power day, we might do 3 sets of 5 jumps. So just in terms of like just controlling the volume on it, but try and keep the intensity as high as possible.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean there's more stuff in terms of testing, but not.
But otherwise you use the GPS a lot just to maintain everything and control everything and focus on it.
Yeah, I mean the nice, I think. I can see your next question coming out. How you set up your training week. I mean, the nice thing with that is we do have quite a consistent pattern, which means that at least for the healthy guys, the GPS doesn't kind of, it's quite predictable. Like once, especially once we've built up a bit of an average for each day, right, if it's 4 days before the game, we'll probably do around 5-6K. 2 days before the game, probably around 4, 3 day before, things like that. So, I'm not too focused on what they're doing unless there's major variations coming out. But especially for guys that are injured, and if they're either injured and not with the team, then we might be trying to kind of match those levels a little bit. So the team's done 4K. Let's try and get at least just like 4K worth of volume, just a bit easier stuff. But let's try and do it like that. Or if someone's then returning to training, we try and just gradually build up to that level. So this week might be 60% of what the team's doing and being involved in that. And generally, it's not as scientific as it sounds. It's say if the team's doing warm up, possession, and games, you do warm up, possession. It's not quite that fancy of going. No. We don't in the middle of a game just run and tackle somebody out of the drill and say that's you've hit 5K. That's enough.
No. That destroys basically the whole drill. Because maybe let's say you're playing 7v7 and all of a sudden it's 6v7 and then you have to have a neutral player and everything. So
and the coaches love to have they love to know what they're dealing with beforehand. So if you're trying to change that mid-session and things, it's just gonna lead to arguments and just annoying people unnecessarily. So it's we try and just keep it simple. And if we need to, if they're still, for example, not in contact yet, then they'll do the warm-up, they can do the passing drill, and then I'll take them for some more to keep them going.
Exactly. So how do you set up the training week? Basically from like, let's say it's a day off Sunday, how do you build up the week for the leading game on Saturday?
So I mean the way that I try and do it, and again what's been great is when I first started, the coaches would just kind of figure out the program, and I just kind of work around it. Whereas now we're a lot more kind of collaborative, and generally 2 weeks before we start the next month, I kind of put something together and say this is what I think is going to be the best to balance. I now also know how Hamid likes to set the week up in general. So I know, especially once we get into the season, he likes to do 2 days before a game, 1 day before the game, and then we like to train the day after, do our recovery session, and the guys who didn't play much can do a bit of work. So you asked for a Saturday game, so I kind of try and work backwards rather than forwards. So
it makes more sense.
So Sunday we'll be in, then we'll be doing our recovery session and training. Friday we'll do our kind of tactical prep, match day -1 session, and we'll do our match day -2 before. So that's Friday, Thursday. Generally we try and have a day off before that then. So Wednesday would be off. Just again so that those 2 really critical sessions to the coach are, everyone's kind of as fresh as they can be for that really. So then that leaves us to Wednesday. Wednesday off.
Then Tuesday.
Tuesday would, they got Monday and Tuesday left, so that's our kind of 2 main loading days really. So usually we'd have the Monday session would be our kind of like intensive session, so shorter spaces, small sided games, kind of like somewhere between 4v4 and 6v6. Generally we have 3 or 4 teams who are kind of rotating in and out, so it's like really hard work.
More like a mechanical load.
Exactly. So, and again with this kind of vertical integration, kind of trying to bring in I'll match what we're doing in terms of the physical stuff to that. So, if we're doing this mechanical loading, that's when we'll be doing our kind of squat pattern work in the gym. Kind of like all the kind of knee dominant things. We'll then go and do acceleration and some change of direction and deceleration and stuff like that in the warm up. Again, just if we're doing a passing drill, I'll say try and keep the spaces shorter, so it's more kind of short and sharp. We usually do a little bit of possession, just kind of, again, smaller space, and then go into the games. Then on the Tuesday, that's our kind of more extensive day, so that's when we'll do some of our more like kind of top speed or agility kind of stuff, where again it's more locomotive, more running based in the warm up. And then again, bigger spaces for the passing, bigger space for possession, but we'll generally do more like tactical work at intensity. So do things like uppspil, to use some classic Icelandic. But yeah, so whether it's opposed or unopposed, just kind of playing through the patterns that we're wanting to look at for the week, and then go into some bigger games. So whether that's 11v11 if we have the numbers, or kind of just generally if we have 11v11 we'll do that. Otherwise we might do 10v10, 9v9, things like that.
Work with the things that you have in your hands.
Yeah, and sometimes we might also just do it where it's more of a kind of one direction game as well, just kind of attack versus defense rather than just like a two teams matched up. If there's something we really want to just focus on getting the ball in the box and finishing and stuff like that, we'll probably put the strongest 6 front guys against the strongest 6 defensive guys, and just kind of let them fight it out.
Exactly.
And basically just so have 2 bigger days there. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking in terms of the periodization for the week, but do the hard stuff early in the week, have a day off, and then prepare tactically, really. And then what we'll try and do as well is tie in things like the nutrition and the gym work around that as well. So good. If we preparing for the game, then try and get some more carbohydrate stuff, bring out loads of bananas, and they're 60 krona. It's something like 30 grams of carbohydrate in there, so it's an easy an easy win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you approach the off season and the pre-season in a different way in the longest pre-season in the world?
A little bit. I mean, in terms of the weekly structure, like we just spoke about, it's subtly different. We try not to do this day after the game recovery training. Generally we're sharing the minutes a little bit more in the pre-season, so more people in the team are in the same position, so you don't need this kind of real split session. So we'd generally, if we play on a Saturday, we'd have Sunday off, and then have basically just get straight into our kind of like intensive session. So if there's a few people who are still struggling with something a little bit, then okay, they might do slightly less. But if we do 7 games, they might do 5 or might do 3 or something like that. But generally try and get everyone into football. Like, we'll keep it really simple. It's not complicated sessions, just kind of mostly just playing. And just get people. So that's the major difference. Obviously we also we train more. We do some of these morning sessions for about 6 weeks. We also just try and make a little bit, I'm not someone who tries to get the whole year's worth of strength training into 6 weeks. I'm someone who very much believes in the kind of slow burn and slow progress. But we will take advantage of the days before the day off a little bit more. So if we're training generally in the off season, we're training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, and having Sunday off as well. So on a Tuesday and a Saturday, we're gonna maybe do a bit more eccentric work, and where they might be a bit more stiff and might be a bit more sore. But it's really just the major difference is just our kind of attitude to heaviness, in a sense. We're less concerned if people are a little bit slower in a short part of the pre-season.
Of course, you should be tired at that point.
And I mean, you've also working with the fact that the sun doesn't come out, so I think whether you've trained or not, people are more tired. But it's just basically, okay, we accept that might not be at our absolute freshest during that period, but that's what preseason is for.
Exactly. So when we talk about like recovery and the recovery process for the team, do you have any specific protocols?
Yes. Generally, it kind of adapts to what we do in the gym, what we do nutritionally. We do have some kind of recovery interventions. So we've got hot and cold tubs in the locker room. Again, I'm also quite a diplomat, strength coach. I'm not much of a dictator, so I'll give people like options and say, okay, this is what the research says, this is what I'm saying. I think you should try and do, okay, let's aim for a total of 4 minutes in the ice bath, or you can do contrast therapy, go 1 minute on, 1 minute off, go in hot tub, cold tub, something like that. But if you love the cold and you want to sit for longer, I'm not going to stop you. If you only love the hot, I'm not going to stop you. Generally, especially with these kind of passive recovery methods, so much of it is just what you believe works and what you feel good doing. Exactly. I'm trying to make people feel better, not feel worse by forcing them into, I hate the cold. I love diving in and out of an ice bath for about 10 seconds, but if you make me sit in it, if I'm the player and you're the strength coach, I'm not going to have a good time. So, but of course, these guys are really professional, so they are happy to do some of the stuff that maybe doesn't feel the best for the benefit of it.
Yeah.
Again, also having the physiotherapist now this season is a big thing. So the guys who, especially while we're still predominantly on artificial grass while we're training, people are a little bit more kind of sore in the joints more than the muscles. So just having the physio there to kind of loosen them up a bit also really helps. But in terms of the gym, we'll take a big isometric focus on our recovery days. So just try and still get strength work in with kind of this focus on just blood flow and movement. We'll also do a lot of mobility work and some kind of, in inverted commas, zone 2, but just light aerobic work, just to get the heart rate up, but not enough to fatigue them in the long term. Just prioritize blood flow and things like that, and also give them a chance to lift nice and heavy on the upper body stuff to get some of that kind of hormonal response. And just if guys are bench pressing 100 kilos, they generally feel quite happy with themselves. So they'll something like that, just get them moving around, bit of isometrics, bit of bike and some upper body, and then
Are there many who can do 100 kilos in the bench?
There's a few.
Yeah.
It's not something that I place a huge emphasis on. I'll always encourage people if they're going for it. I'm more the sort of the cheerleader throwing fuel on the fire. If someone's at 95, I'm that's a great warm up you're doing. When are you gonna actually rather try and nudge them in that direction rather than saying, okay, you need to be doing this. But that's probably 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah, good. That's good.
Maybe a couple more who just aren't interested in doing it, but
we talked about Unbroken.
Yeah.
And Unbroken is one of the biggest sponsors, like I said. So I have to ask you, what do you feel is the biggest benefit of using the product?
Yeah. I think one of the great things about it is, again, just with some of the messaging and things that's on the tubes that's coming from us, that's coming from Unbroken, is it's actually just taking your recovery into your own hands and not just being really passive about it. So when the guys walk into the locker room, there's cups with water with Unbroken in it. That's I know sometimes it can take the tablets a little bit long to kind of dissolve, but I get in early, put them in half an hour before the guys arrive, and then it's there so that it gets them straight away thinking about their recovery. Obviously the benefits of the kind of essential amino acids in there is great. Also just it's another thing that's getting them to drink a little bit more fluids, so in terms of hydration side it's great. There's small amounts of electrolytes in there as well, so again just getting them having more of the right things and being active in their recovery and thinking about it and doing something about it is the main benefit for me. It's you know, it's something that we use before and after training. Like, you know, we're probably also you know, we're lucky as well, being our former chairman having a big seat in Unbroken as well. So
Of course.
you know, I think if
Big man Jonsi.
yeah, exactly. So you know, he's you know, he really believes in the product, like, you know, and we've spoken loads about it, and I think it is excellent. So
It is,
like
definitely.
we get a good supply of it. We've got a little Unbroken drinks bottles as well. So it's something that we use every day.
Yeah, perfect. How do you see your career in the next 5 years? Are you still in Iceland, or how do
I
you
think
see
so.
it?
I mean, as long as my fiance is happy, I think like that always makes life easier, and we both really enjoy, like, you know, outside of the career side, we both really enjoy Iceland. Like, we're first living in Hafnarfjörður, but we've moved to Reykjavik in the last 6 months or so, mainly just from a kind of convenience for her, for work and things like that, but also, you know, kind of, you know, being a foreigner in Iceland, like, you know, there's more foreigners around here, and you know, I really enjoy the kind of village community of a capital city that
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, I've only been here for 18 months, but I can't drive. You know, it was the same when we lived in Hafnarfjörður. Like, after 2 weeks of being at FH, if I went to Kronan or Bonus, like, you can't. I don't know how anyone gets anything done, because you bump into 3 or 4 people, you know, and chat to each one, and like, you know, I mean, I have some friends from like Vestmannaeyjar, like, there's probably 1 or 2 supermarkets there, and you know everyone on the island. Like, how do you get anything done?
Exactly.
And it's even the same in Reykjavik now. Like, just driving around, like, I can't go into a little coffee shop or something without seeing somebody I know, and also just, you know, if we're saying, hey, come around for a coffee, it's a 5-minute walk from pretty much anyone that we know, is, you know, 5-10 minutes max. And we've also just recently persuaded my cousin to move over from South Africa, so
Okay.
we've got another one in.
That's good.
But no, like, career wise, I mean, the biggest thing that kind of enticed me to come to FH, you know, specifically, not just Iceland, is you know, we spoke about it a little bit before we started recording, but it is a place with great facilities, with great ambition, and great drive to kind of match that ambition. So, you know, and I'm lucky to have the experience of being at Leicester, being at one of the kind of biggest clubs in England, biggest club, you know, one of the huge clubs in Europe, and seeing what these kind of, like, the facility that they have now, like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I've seen videos. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Basically, all the money for Harry Maguire went into
Exactly,
that
yeah,
facility.
that's money very well spent.
Definitely.
And and also just seeing, you know, what you know, a fully professional team with great budget and great support from every kind of angle, and what, you know, the nicest thing is, we're not miles away. Obviously, you know, there's issues around staffing and just getting more of everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, in terms of time and access to the players, in terms of now, okay, having a physio, having a strength coach, getting sponsors and more food, more drinks, getting the right technology, the GPS, the Force Decks, like, all these kind of things. You know, we're not miles away from these things now, and you know, unlike, you know, if you gave me the choice, okay, go work in the Championship in England versus FH, I'd take FH every time, because, I mean, we're 12 teams in the league.
Yeah.
If we finish in the top 33% of that, we go to Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, there's 7 teams in the whole of the 72 team EFL in England that can do that, and we're one of 12.
Yeah.
So, like, the kind of investment versus opportunity here is so much higher.
Yeah.
And also, you know, selfishly, like, going into a club with great history, but also quite a blank slate in terms of the performance side of things. So the nutrition, the recovery, the physio, the medical side, the training, the strength training, and all that kind of thing. You know, it's, you come in and do with it what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm 18 months into a project that I'd like to see going for at least 5 years.
Yeah, perfect.
So, I mean, it's something that, you know, I want to, you know, depending on how long I end up staying, and like there's no definite end point to that at the moment. Like I've no intention to leave anytime soon.
Okay.
So I want to see how far we can go with it, and I think it's a good time for Icelandic football in general, with just the kind of the direction everything's moving. Like I see a lot of positive change in the last even the 18 months I've been here. So
yeah.
I'm just excited to see where it goes.
I totally agree with you. I think we're in a good place, and I think it's only gonna grow.
Yeah.
So that's good. 2 questions in the end. Tell me, who's the biggest beast in the FH team?
I think this is a loaded question. There's a few names that kind of jump to mind for different reasons. I mean, quite recently, Johan Ægir. So he was very unfortunate to tear his ACL middle of last season. But I mean, the speed and the intensity that he's come back to kind of football in has just been exceptional. I know, like, it's quite again, I think we're lucky at FH. We have a really good team kind of around him. That's he's been supported both by Robert Magnusson at Atlas, and then also with our own physio now in house. But I've in a sense he's been pushing me far more than I've been pushing him in terms of the rehab, which is excellent, and
that's good.
He's just been really switched on with how
so he's on the pitch now.
Yeah.
So it's like a Wolverine recovery.
Basically, yeah. I mean, like, yeah. There's a on our training camp, he got far too excited about a penalty shootout and just kind of like, I've never seen someone hit a ball so hard, and I think he kind of felt something a little bit then. But no, he's good now. He's training. But I mean, just he's just a competitive person, so it doesn't matter what. Okay, if it was all right, you need to get full knee extension in the first month or whatever. Like, just the kind of the obsessive, like, nature to go and do that. I think that the people who succeed the most that I've seen in football are people who are very interested in the like monotonous, boring stuff.
Yeah,
like if you can get out of bed and be like, I can't wait to go get knee extension. Like, I mean, I don't think he thinks that, but like to at least approach it with that mentality is great.
It's a unique mentality.
Yeah, and then the other one that jumps to my mind, like, none of this is anything to really do with who can lift the most or anything like that, but Ásbjörn Þórðarson is just, what a guy.
Yeah,
like,
he's a good guy.
Like, he will just run through a wall and be smiling about it. Like, I don't think there's a game where he's not bleeding from somewhere. Like, yeah, and just, I just love watching him play, because he's a great footballer, excellent footballer, but like mentality wise is just, like, he'll have a broken arm and be like, Asti, are you okay? He's like, yeah, it's fine. Why? Like, well, your arm's backwards. Like, it's, yeah. So he's just like, he's a beast.
Yeah,
for sure,
definitely. Any books or podcasts that you recommend for the listeners?
Yeah. So I mean, one of there's one book I really like. It's maybe a bit of a controversial answer, but it's this. I can't even remember the title, but it's Raymond Verheyen. It's periodization, or football periodization, or whatever it's called. And like, I know there's, he's kind of quieted down a bit, but like in this kind of niche media of football was like quite a controversial guy. But the great thing about his book and his methods and things like that is just, it basically just does the basics of strength and conditioning really well. It's it's progressive overload. It's doing the right things at the right time. It respects the kind of recovery and super compensation of the body. Like, okay, yes, you need to train hard as well, but you also need to respect recovery. But then on those days where you recover, you can still work on certain things. And I've also listened to things by him where he's starting to talk about kind of the psychology side, and it's just, it takes what can become a very overcomplicated thing in football and makes it very simple, which I think is what makes, like, I try and do that in my own work. It's just, if I don't need to tell players about ATP and about the like stretch shortening cycle in the muscles and plant. Like I just say, just jump fast, pretend the ground's hot. Like
basically,
you know, if they can get it without me having to say all the boring stuff, like you know, and that's where I think that book's really great. Is it takes quite simple concepts into universal language. Like he talks about this football language rather than, you know, using even terms that basically most people understand, like endurance or fitness. Like everyone kind of understands, but if I talk about fitness, like, okay, well, am I talking about my ability to run a marathon or to play football? And just makes it very specific, which, you know, it's specific, it's progressive overload, and it's kind of respecting the way that the body works and functions, which I really like. And also the HIIT training manual by Mladen Jovanovic, really good as well. Like his work in general is, I'm very much attracted to people that can get complicated stuff in quite a simple solution.
Yeah, and those people are probably the best coaches as well.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to drown anybody of information.
Yeah.
You have to be able to explain it to a 5-year-old.
Yeah. And I mean, even more so coming over here and having a language barrier, like, yeah, everyone speaks fantastic English in Iceland, but, you know, if you're still trying to drone on about, you know, like all the ATP and all these other things that, you know, you're going to lose people, especially the younger guys, quite quickly. So if you can just say, okay, this is good for you because this is why. And this is how you do it. Like if you're trying to teach someone to squat and you talk about joint angles and, you know, extension in the hip and all these kind of things, like just say, okay, try and sit down like you're sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
But the chair's not there.
No.
Like,
exactly.
well, it's just, real simple stuff. And then like podcasts, I really like the high performance podcast, just because how diverse I listened to a couple recently. The one with James Milner was really good. And then I listened to a couple from like the kind of Formula One world with Toto Wolff, and I've already forgotten his name. I have an awful memory. But the guy who's jumped ship from Mercedes to Williams now.
Yeah, okay.
And that was also quite good. It's just like trying to look at high performance sport as different angles from different sports.
That's important.
Yeah.
Just to get different perspectives.
Yeah.
All right. Today is Easter.
Yeah.
So now we go home and have
Hele
an Easter
Pascha.
egg. Virkilega Pascha.
Yeah.
So thank you for the podcast. It's been
Thank you
nice talk.
Yeah, it's been great.
1 hour of talking. That's good.
Yeah.
I think it's the longest podcast so far. So it's good. It's a lot of things. I learned a lot myself. I think I will listen to it again and just put some notes on paper because there's a lot of great things in there. So thank you very much, Ben, for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And I see you on the pitch in the summer.
Yeah. When do we play, you guys?
I have no idea.
Yeah.